Mark here again. It's about 3:30 in the morning. I fell asleep around midnight or 11 or something. Woke up about half hour, 40 minutes ago. Started researching and said, let me do a video. All right. So I want to talk to you guys really quick about guarding the energy of your relationship, whether you're married in a committed monogamous relationship, how to guard that energy. And the energy I'm talking about is the masculine and the feminine. And not guarded can be very, very destructive. But let's talk about how it's constructed first of all. First of all, the masculine and the feminine energy, what's the purpose of it? The purpose of it is to strengthen the bond of the relationship. What I mean by that is this. Uh, the greater the difference in the opposite energies, the stronger the attractive force between both parties. I'll say that one more time. The greater, the higher the difference is in the opposite energies, which is the masculine and the feminine. The greater the difference is in those energies, the stronger the attractive force and the sexual chemistry. When again, the purpose of that is to bring the relationship into what's called the purpose of these energies is to bring your relationship into what's called dynamic equilibrium. And dynamic equilibrium is all the moving parts that are in motion, all the forces of that union reach what's called homeostasis or balance. And that's the purpose. That's the purpose of this energy. These energies, plural, duality, right? And the greater, I'll say it one more time, the greater the polarization, which is the higher the difference in the opposite energies, the stronger your attractive force. So if my masculine energy is at 8 and her feminine energy is at 8, that means we are respectively at 80% in the opposite direction of each other, right? She's feminine, I'm masculine, and we're both at 80%. That means we will have an extremely strong attractive force, and we will be at what's called polarization, right? So we have an equal distribution of energy on both sides, and therefore we have a very strong attractive and sexual chemistry. And this works. This is how magnets. I'm sure we all are familiar with magnets. This is how magnets operate. Opposites attract, and everyone's heard this: opposites attract. So in this regards, opposites attract. Now, polarity has to do with your sexual chemistry of the relationship. So the more different you are from your spouse in terms of femininity and masculinity, the stronger your attractive force will be to your spouse. I'll say that one more time. The more different, the greater the difference you guys are in terms of masculinity and femininity, the more feminine your wife is, or your girlfriend, or your significant other, and the more masculine you are, the stronger the attractive force will be between you and her. What's the mechanisms? What's the science to that? Easy. Magnets. Think of a magnet. Opposites attract, and the greater the voltage, right, the stronger the current, right? When you think of electricity, think of a battery. A battery has what's called, on both ends, you have a positive and you have a negative, right? And that positive is called a cation, and the negative is called an anion. anion, right? Anion and cation. And in between, you have the cathode. No, not a cathode. I'm sorry. You have an electrode, right? An electrode is a conductor that carries the electricity. And give me 1 second. Let me just make sure. I don't want to electrode. I'm correct. I don't want to give any false information because I don't want anybody to come back like, oh, Mark is slipping. Mark is losing it. It's 3:30 in the morning. Mark, go to bed. It is an electrode. And an electrode is the conductor that allows the current to flow through. But the point I'm making is that we human beings, we operate in a very similar fashion. So in order for electricity in a battery to flow, right, you have to have two poles. You have to have a positive and a negative, and then you have the electrode, which is what allows the current to flow, and it flows from negative to positive, right? So because of the attraction. So when you're in a relationship, consider yourself one pole, and your partner is the other pole. Because again, the law of electricity and electromagnetic force, you need two poles for electricity to flow. So for your energy, which is masculine, and her energy, which is feminine, to flow, you need two poles. And consider yourself a pole. Each individual in a relationship is a pole. And She's the feminine and you're the masculine. And so the purpose of the energies is to come into sync, like I said, synchronization, which is called polarization. And when you're polarized, your relationship is strengthened in terms of the attractive force, and you have a bond, a stronger bond. But so that's the way we get the opposites attract. The more opposites you are in masculinity and femininity, the stronger your attractive force. That is science and scientifically proven. There's data and evidence for that. But here's where you need to have similarities, right? Similarities comes now in what's called emotional overlaps, where you have similar interests, similar tastes, similar likings. You guys have similar movies, similar foods. There's just, you guys like to activities, similar activities. So there need to be an emotional similarity and sexual polarity. And that's how you are, that's how you guard the energy of the relationship. But here's how you have to maintain and guard this energy, because should you not guard this energy, then what happens to polarization is it goes into what's called depolarization. And depolarization sounds exactly as it is. It's destabilizing forces, where the masculine and the feminine energy becomes depolarized and destabilized, disorderly, and then everything just becomes disgusting. And this is why, relationships are very, very intricate, very complex, and very difficult to maintain, not to get into. Not to start, but to maintain. And the reason why it's so difficult is because of the aforementioned. It is because of the skill set and skillful precision that is needed to maintain that balance, that polarity in terms of the masculine and the feminine. And again, should it become depolarized, it become destabilized, disorderly, disarranged, and dysfunctional. And it is a very thin line in keeping that polarity and keeping that balance. And if you think about, like, we have testosterone, with testosterone driven, women are estrogen driven. But the same laws apply, because we have both estrogen and testosterone. And as a matter of fact, the older you get as a man, the more estrogen your body starts to produce, because the testosterone goes through men over 40 starts what's called aromatase. Aromatase is a process where testosterone is converted into estrogen. So that's why the older you get, the more men start to slow down and to relax a little bit. We become more feminine. We become more feminine because we have femininity energy within us. It's just masked by the dominant masculine energy. But the older you get, the more feminine energy you start to incur, or you start to give off. And so, knowing this information, it's important that we guard the masculine and feminine energy and not run away from it. Like, embrace it. Like, accentuate your masculinity, men. Accentuate it. Women, accentuate your femininity. Like, accentuate, highlight it, emphasize your feminine energy. Because the more feminine you are in your relationship, and the more masculine the man in his relationship, you will strengthen the attractive force, because of the laws of opposites attract. And again, think of magnets. So, but again, it's important that we guard that energy, because it can be easily destabilized and depolarized. And you don't want to let others interfere with that energy. Because remember, energy is never destroyed nor created. The first law of thermodynamics is just simply changes shape, forms, sizes, etc. So energy can never be destroyed, but it can change its shape. It can change its form, can change its type. So you have to guard your energy of your relationship, because others can thwart that energy. Others can thwart that energy. And since my lights are going out, that's a sign that I need to go to bed. All right, peace.